Okay, so this is going to be part 10 on making an Old West holster. In today's video we're going to be dyeing it. I wet formed this last Saturday, I think it was. Today is Thursday. When I had to wait anywhere near that long, it's just this is when I had time to do the dyeing. So what I'm gonna daub dye it with the dauber, I guess, just because it'll make it a little less dye that I'll have to use, a little less waste that way. So I'm going to take it partially apart, well, basically all the way apart, but I'm not going to pull this out of the skirt just because it's hard to get it all started again. I'm just going to pull it, actually I'm going to pull it out of the skirt, but not the holster itself, just because that part's easier to get in. So I'm going to take it out like that. I'm going to be using some denatured alcohol to dilute my dye and make it go a little further and lighten it up a little, hopefully, because I don't have any lighter brown dye. So we're going to do about 50-50 denatured alcohol and Fibing's dark brown pro dye. Now there's denatured alcohol already in this dye, so it's not gonna, it's not unsafe to mix the two together or whatever. If you're not doing this on a table that's designated for leather working, you'll want a cloth or something down, but I don't care if anything gets on this plexiglass that I use as a cutting board. So we're just going to kind of stir that in. We're just going to kind of daub it on there. And then we're going to see how it looks. You can get a more even coat dip dyeing. And like I said, this way you have a little less waste. And I'm always thinking about my budget, so I'm going to do it this way. You'll definitely want to wear an old shirt or something. One I'm wearing has a hole in it, so I figured, what do I care if I get dye on it? Daub that on there as even as you can. When you've already wet formed it, which I like to dye everything last, you have these little ridges and stuff that I can kind of pull up on too, so that's where I think daub dyeing it, you can get it a little more even in those areas, even though it's harder to get it even in like the big areas. Daub dyeing or dip dyeing, they both have their advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages of dip dyeing is you always waste a little more, but I prefer that way. It's quicker and easier most of the time, but today I'm going to do it this way. The back side here. Looks like I need to add a little more dye mixture. Not quite as much as I had the first time. You want reasonably good ventilation when you're using this stuff. It mainly just smells like alcohol. Like I never get a headache from it or anything. It's just kind of strong. If you got other people in your house, you may want to kind of consult them before you start messing with this stuff. Make sure it's not going to bother them. Kind of get these edges. You can always come back and give this another light coat if you need to, if you think you missed stuff or if it's a little uneven. In this particular case, if it is a little uneven, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I want this gun, or this holster, to look kind of rustic anyway, so if I'm a little, like, I want dye on every inch of it, but if it's a little inconsistent here and there, that's kind of the look I'm going for. A little bit antiqued, which I've seen people to use this denatured alcohol in videos to make things look more antiqued, like on purpose. I don't remember exactly how they did it, but I'm sure you could find those videos if that's what you were interested in trying. Just going to do another coat over the main part here just to make sure I got everything good. And because I have a little bit of mixture left here, as it soaks in, then your consistency will kind of reveal itself. Go over certain areas a second time to kind of even them out if you want to. Just a little tiny bit more. Just about a drop is all I put in there. If you're wanting to make your holster really stiff, it's a little bit more polishing and whatnot to get it to look good, but the Fibings leather dye rather than the Fibings Pro dye, that stuff dries really stiff. So it'll give your holster even more rigidity but a lot harder to work with than this Pro dye as far as rub off and things like that. I much prefer using the Pro dye because they both have alcohol carriers, but the regular leather dye is an alcohol base, where this is oil. Okay. I think I'm liking how this looks for the most part here. Just probably end up leaving this overnight and then showing you guys the probably put leather balm with Atom Wax on it or needs foot oil. Most likely the leather balm. I think I like that a little better, but just to kind of give it a sealant. Sometimes you get these little range marks on it, which is fine. It adds to the uniqueness of that particular hide. Smooth that out a little. I'm not gonna put it back, assemble it again until it's dry. For one thing, it'll be easier to put the top coat on if it's like this, and for another, if you got your straps on this part, a lot of times they'll kind of wick dye from each other and then you'll have lines. So I'm gonna just leave it like that to dry, and pretty much all we can do right now. I think that's going to look pretty good when it is dry and we get it assembled back together and top coated and everything. So for now, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching.